let's be real for a second. Forget the 5 a.m. alarms, the ice-cold plunges, all that stuff. Today, we're going to dive into the small, almost invisible habits that can quietly, but totally, transform your life. These are the kinds of changes that actually stick around because they don't rely on brute force. Nope, they're all about subtle consistency. So let's explore what that really looks like. So you've got two paths, right? On one side, you have those popular hustle culture habits. They look great on Instagram, they're super intense, and let's be honest, they're pretty easy to quit. But then you have these quiet habits over on the other side. Doing one push-up, reading a single page. They seem insignificant. But that is exactly where their power lies. And this quote right here, this really gets to the heart of it. The secret isn't about being perfect every single day. It's just about showing up, even in the smallest possible way, and simply refusing to quit on yourself. This whole idea, this philosophy, is the foundation for everything we're about to talk about. So let's kick things off with the foundational habit. This is the one that really holds all the others up. It is such a simple rule, but man, it can change everything. The rule is this: never go to zero. That's it. On the days you feel awful, unmotivated, completely overwhelmed, you just do the absolute bare minimum. You read one page, you write one sentence, you do one single push-up. See, the goal isn't progress, it's just to avoid a 0 day. But here's why this is so dang powerful. It has nothing to do with productivity. It's all about your identity. Think about it. You can't call yourself a writer if you never write. That one sentence you forced yourself to write on your worst day, that's you casting a vote for your identity as a writer. 1% is infinitely, infinitely more than 0%. This whole idea of casting votes for your identity, well, it all starts with your internal dialogue. So let's take a look at how we can start to rewire our own thinking, starting with the very questions we ask ourselves. We've all been here, right? Something goes wrong, and our brain's default setting is to jump straight to this question. It's a victim's question, really. It leaves you with zero power and absolutely no options. But what if we made a tiny, quiet shift? What if, instead, we asked ourselves this? What if this is exactly what I needed? All of a sudden, a rejection becomes a redirection. Some harsh feedback becomes a blind spot that just got revealed. See, this question doesn't look for blame. It looks for possibilities. Here's another simple little tool for your mind. Before you make a questionable decision, try using the and then what method. So, okay, I'll skip the gym. And then what? Well, I'll probably feel kind of sluggish. And then what? It'll be that much harder to go tomorrow. And then what? The whole routine might just fall apart. Most of us only think one step ahead. This little trick forces you to see the real long-term cost of a small, seemingly innocent choice. And this brings us to such a crucial point. Every single choice you make is a vote. Before you act, just pause and ask, what would the person I'm trying to become do right now? You know, future me is healthier, so they'd probably choose the water. Future me is more focused, so they'd close those extra tabs. You are constantly building your future self with these tiny little votes. Okay, so changing your mindset is huge, but how do you actually turn that into action? Let's switch gears and talk about the practical, daily systems that make these quiet habits actually stick. You know that popular rule that says if a task takes less than 2 minutes, you should do it immediately? Well, we can actually flip that idea to build new habits. When you're starting something new, just commit to 2 minutes. That's it. Want to read more? 2 minutes. Want exercise? 2 minutes. Your brain literally cannot argue with 2 minutes. It just kind of goes, fine, whatever. But those 2 minutes, that's the start of everything.
This really highlights a key difference between goals and systems. Goals are all about the result you want, and they rely on motivation, which, comes and goes. Systems, on the other hand, are about the process that gets you there, and they rely on routine, which is so much more reliable. Just remember this: you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. And a super simple way to build a system: checklists. Seriously, if you do something more than twice, make a checklist for it. Packing, weekly planning, anything. This offloads all that mental work so your brain can actually focus on what's important. I mean, look, if checklists are good enough for pilots and surgeons, they're definitely good enough for us.
And just like our foundational habit, you can apply the non-zero rule to your energy. Don't just work until you crash and burn. Take tiny 2-minute micro breaks between tasks. Stretch, walk around, just look out a window for a second. It's a little non-zero reset that prevents burnout and keeps you in the game. Now, these systems don't just apply to our own productivity. Let's take a look at how these same quiet habits can have a massive impact on our relationships with other people. This one is so simple, but it is so powerful. When you're with someone, is your phone face up or face down? A phone on the table means you're basically giving them your leftover attention. But a phone that's put away, that means you're giving them your actual attention. And trust me, people can feel the difference. Trust isn't built in some grand, dramatic gesture. It's built in these small, daily deposits. You show up on time. You do that small thing you said you do. You remember a little detail they mentioned last week. There's a great saying, trust is built in drops and lost in buckets. So, focus on the drops. Here's a really powerful shift you can make in every single conversation. Stop trying so hard to be interesting. Instead, start being interested. Ask questions you're genuinely curious about. When people feel that you are truly listening and you're engaged, they open up, and the entire dynamic of the conversation just changes. So, what does this all add up to? Well, it's the understanding that the person you're going to be in 5 years, that person is being forged in the tiny, quiet, almost invisible decisions you make today. And that's really the ultimate takeaway here. Every small action, every quiet habit, it's a building block for your future self. So the most important choice you can possibly make, day in and day out, is simply to never, ever go to zero. And that really just leaves us with one final question to think about. Now, it doesn't have to be a page, of course. It could be one push-up, or one sentence you write, or one 2-minute walk. But think about it. What is your one small, non-zero action going to be today?